Hey, Joe.
Okay, so I'm sorry we're starting late. My apologies. I've been behind the eight ball all day today. So the first thing on the agenda is everybody's here. We have a full board tonight.
You're missing Emmanuel.
Who's missing?
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
Oh, Emmanuel. Where is Emmanuel? We're gonna have to look into this because this is just too many times.
Yep.
Okay, we'll check that out.
Todd is on vacations right now.
Huh?
Todd is on vacations.
Todd's on vacation? No, that's just not right. How does he get to go on vacation and all I get to do is run late? That's not right. All right, minutes. We have minutes from the February meeting. Any comments, questions, concerns?
Motion to approve as presented.
Without objection, I will accept the minutes as presented. Hearing none, the minutes are accepted.
There you go.
The only reason for doing it that way is that we don't have to worry about who wasn't here and who has to abstain, et cetera, et
I
cetera.
understand that. I
Okay.
always...
Property managers report. Myrna, what do you got for us?
We only have the spring cleanup going to be set up for the heights beginning in April, and that's all we have right now. So
That's
far.
it?
For the heights and for the Royal, Mrs. Kathy Molcano will give you the updates.
Hi, Kath.
Hi, guys. We have a good rhythm going with the project now. We have, out of 29, we've completed 12 units. By the end of the month, we will have completed 15. And right in the beginning of April, we'll be starting our 4th rotation. And the way that we have it set up, there'll be 8 rotations in total. So we're at the halfway mark.
Very good. I can tell you from personal experience, the people that are undergoing the renovations for the most part are happy. Good job on the movers. The movers have done an excellent job. Everybody who's dealt with them is very satisfied. We thought that might be an issue, having people come in, but they've really done a fine job, and everybody's happy.
Excellent.
Thank you, Kathy. We appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Everybody's kept to their schedules.
Yeah, I have not
So far,
had
so
any
good.
complaints. Nobody's come to me with issues or problems. Things are getting done. And the people who have had their units done are happy with what they find when they get back. They're not going back and saying, oh, they didn't do this, or they dinged this, or they missed that. And they're very happy with the way the things look when they return to their apartment. So, including one resident who insisted that the cleaners that we had to do the cleaning just weren't quite good enough, and he went in and cleaned. I mean, we were thinking of hiring him to do other apartments because he did a really great job. That's it. Any other comments, questions from committee members about what we got going on?
Nope.
I got one comment here at the Heights. Actually, not the Heights. On West Avenue, we've got a parking problem still. I don't know who's moved in over there.
So the same people, we're actually issuing new parking spaces, new parking stickers through the whole property.
No, I'm saying West
We're
Avenue.
gonna do that too.
They're parking in between the two driveways.
Yeah, we're gonna do it for them too, so we're only gonna give them 2 stickers per houses.
Okay.
So they're only gonna
So
allow 2 cars.
there's a gray car now that has all of a sudden showed up over the last 2 weeks, and they're parking it. And, the problem here is the lease says they get 2 parking places. The driveway is big enough to put 2 and the 2 driveways there are right next to each other.
Right.
There was originally grass in between the 2. They have driven over it and parked there so often, there's no grass anymore, so they put some gravel in there. But eventually, they are going to do the project on the corner of Norotan and West and widen that road to make a left turn lane. When they do that, they will also, when that's finished, they will do the sidewalk on West Avenue, and it will extend down past the 2 houses that we own on West Avenue. So when that happens, there'll be a sidewalk where they're pulling in now. And pulling on that sidewalk and into the space between the two driveways is not, so we've been telling them over and over and over again, don't get used to it because you can't do it.
When that occurs, it would be wise to put some kind of a hedge in that gravel area, not just grass, but something which is growing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Once they do the sidewalk, probably something we can do.
I would do it at the time that they do the sidewalk.
Do you hear the sidewalk is gonna be starting in May?
I'm sorry?
The sidewalk is gonna begin in May.
Yeah. Well, otherwise I'll park my car down there facing out and I'll sit there and wait until they tell me why it's acceptable for them to pull into that space. Because it's not, it's just ridiculous. And it's not like they haven't been told. So,
I follow up for that.
okay. Do we have old business? The sound report Kathy's already given us for the Royal. Anything else anybody's aware of that we're not on top of? I'm not aware of anything else that's hanging around. New business, what do we got for new business? Peter?
I got something that, to mention. I was made aware, I had a conversation with Joe, and I had a conversation also with Jenny Schwartz regarding some ARPA money, which is federal funds which have been made available to virtually every town in the country. And the money was earmarked, as I understand it, for assistance because of the entire COVID issues that have taken place for those who have need, which could be everything from rental assistance to being able to do municipal projects of various types, which are tied to, which fit into certain characterizations. As I understand it, Darien received something in excess of $6 million of these funds. They had put through an application, I take it, at some point in time, which would have been done through the Selectman's office. Because this money was earmarked in part for affordable housing issues, I was kind of surprised that the Housing Authority was never told by anyone in town that this was going on, and our input was not solicited as to whether there are projects or needs that residents in the Housing Authority or the Housing Authority itself may have for the funds. But in fact, there is money which is outstanding and has been given to the town. As I understand it, Darien Human Services is administering much of the money, and there may be opportunities for people who have a need, and maybe organizations have a need, to solicit some funding through that organization. There's a lot more to this. I know that, and Joe, you've had some conversations as well on the subject, and say what you will, and I want to get on the table that there is something going on. There are funds available, and Housing Authority, in my opinion, regrettably was not involved in the process.
That's the big problem for me. The money is being allocated for a whole variety of projects, and most of this was backfill for issues that were presented by the pandemic. People who were left high and dry, businesses, whatever, and this money was made available to try to help to get people back on track again. A small portion of the money was to be used for some type of housing issues. Now, when we look at it, we think in terms of, is there assistance that our do we have residents who have fallen behind in their rent because of they lost their job, or they weren't getting paid as much as they should be, et cetera? And could we take a portion of this money and use it to help those people? The thought that Peter and I had, and Jenny Schwartz, for those of you who don't know her, used to be the chairman of the Housing Authority. And I spoke, she was the one who brought this to my attention in the first place. But she thought there could be a fund set up that would allow people to get back, to keep us from getting in arrears, and then the money would be repaid, so it would be a revolving fund. We'd work out a structure that would get you out of trouble today, but keep you from getting back into trouble again farther down the road. The biggest concern, as Peter mentioned, we didn't know anything about it. At no time during the process, the town has apparently gone, the town boards, and it is now with the Board of Finance, has gone through a process of figuring out how they want to spend the money. And I was told when I called the selectman's office by one of the staff there that this was brought up at numerous public meetings, and that had we attended those meetings, we would have known about it. And my comment was, I don't attend public meetings. I have enough on my plate already that I don't routinely attend public meetings unless I'm invited to attend those meetings. And to have an organization such as the Housing Authority, while it is not a town organization, it is a state organization, but for the town to completely ignore us, I felt was unacceptable. I thought we should at least have been noticed.
I also, by the way, took exception to their comment about we should be, attending the meetings. Various organizations will, out of, professional courtesy, if nothing else, will notify us saying, if there's something going on, you guys might
Some
want
on
to
the
attend the
agenda you'd
meeting.
be interested in, you ought to come to the meeting.
Right. And I also am a little bit concerned that, the Board of Selectmen certainly want to take as much credit for everything we do as they can, and so, quid pro quo would be if they would just, let us know something's coming down that might be helpful for the Housing Authority. So I think the communication all the way around is regrettably not as transparent as I would like it to be.
Now, a couple of things that this leads into. Number one, we'll continue to monitor those funds to see if there's anything. Can we get money through social services? However the money is ultimately allocated within the town, is there something we can provide some input into and use that money for anything that we'd like to see done here on the property, either here at the Heights or over at the Royal. Second, I hope those of you who know me well know that I try not to be too cynical, but occasionally you can't help but be cynical. If the town got money from the federal government to fund various things, then there are things that are not going to be funded through the town's regular budget process, which means there should be funding available in the budget for other things we might ask for. So a couple of projects that I think should be looked into. We have talked with the town ad nauseum to eliminate the tent in the parking lot over at the Royal, where the paramedic ambulance is kept, and build a suitable garage, a facility for that. We think that's something we ought to take another look at and see if we can get the town to fund such a project. We were willing to do it when the building was under construction and no decisions were ever made. It's time to look at that and see if there's something we can do. From our perspective, we own the land, we own the building. There's an easement that allows the town to determine what the use for the building is and allows the town to use 6 parking spaces. There is an ending in that easement that allows the town to build a garage. So we would look and see if it makes sense for us. I would think it makes good sense for us because that tent is, number one, is ugly as sin, and number two,
It's a zoning violation.
it makes absolutely no sense. It really does. And every time the wind blows, they're out there trying to figure out how to patch it together because it just flaps all over the place.
We can provide guest parking for some of the residents of the Royal.
Well, not only that, but that would be the thought, is that if you can get rid of the tent and organize things a little bit better over there, build a garage, mark out a parking space for the EMT ambulance driver, we might be able to recover 1 or 2 of those 6 parking places to use for visitor parking at the Royal. So we'd certainly want to take a look at that whole thing. The other thing we'd want to look at is, are there any major projects that we're contemplating doing anyway? We're undertaking some renovations here at the Heights because we've been here long enough now, getting some painting done and things like that. It won't be too very long that we'll have to be looking at replacing some utilities, the washers and dryers and refrigerators, And I know it sounds silly to even think about it, but it's not going to be that much farther down the road that we're going to have to look at roof repairs. And so if there's money out there, we need to look at a 5-year plan of where we might ask for money and what we would ask for and what we would do with the money that we ask for. So put on your thinking caps. We'll put an agenda item in the next meeting to discuss some ideas of things that we might ask for. And in the meantime, I'll follow up with the town and see if we can. I'll follow up with both the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance to see what the current situation is and whether or not there's any opportunities to alter things in our favor.
Do you know what's the name of the program the money comes from?
Yeah, it's called ARPA.
ARPA, I'm not sure what the acronym stands for, but.
American Rescue Plan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's that last A I'm trying to
I
figure
don't
out.
know, but I know I'm getting the first part of it out.
It's the American Rescue Plan is what it is.
Yeah.
And again, the money was put out there, it was part of the COVID response. So nationally, it was used for a whole variety of different things. When we get to the local level, either the state or the local, whether we're a state agency or a local agency, we want to look and see it. And this is not a situation where we're simply saying, hey, there's money, we want something. We're taking a serious look at what projects could be funded appropriately with money like this, the garage being one of them.
Well, and especially if the intent of the funding was for housing-related issues, then it seems like
Well,
it's
and
appropriate
again,
to look at it
you know, and quite frankly, while I've never been a big fan of having 310, the paramedic ambulance, in that location, since the town has decided that's where it's going to be, it is to our advantage to make it comfortable there because we use those facilities. That ambulance responds to our facility. We're an elderly facility.
Mhm.
We get more than our fair share of calls to the Royal, and having the emergency, the EMT right there is a good thing, not a bad thing. So we want to keep it that way. Okay, and Matt, you got anything else going on that I'm not aware of?
Not that I can think of.
Residents associations, what do you guys got going on up here at the Heights? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody?
Royal.
Anything? Nope. How about the Royal? What do you got going over there? Have we covered, is there something we left out?
Not that I can think of. Oh, well, I'm sure you know about this, I'm sure, Myrna, but it's a very small thing, but the treadmill is still out in the gym. So I presume they have somebody.
Yeah, we're waiting for one of the parts to come, so we already placed the order.
Oh, I didn't realize it was not
Yeah, one of
function.
them. Yeah, we can get it fixed.
Okay.
And when is the meeting room going to be open, and is there going to be the yard furniture put back out?
Yep, so we're gonna open the outside area, you can access the outside area, but the inside we're still deciding where we're gonna open
Is
it.
there any chance of getting a barbecue grill out there that would be propane fed?
The firemen over there can answer you that question.
No, we've looked at that. We've looked at we've looked at a barbecue facility both at the Royal and here at the Heights. And we're restricted by some building code issues and some fire code issues in terms of the proximity. Given that this is a multifamily situation, you're limited as to what you can do, how close any barbecue can be to the structure itself.
10 feet.
And then you wind up with a problem of maintenance. If we were to say, at both the Royal or here at the Heights, let's say look at the patio here, if we put a pad a little farther out, so we met the 10-foot regulation, and let the residents reserve use of the barbecue, that would be fine, except
It's gonna
Does-
monitor.
who does the monitoring and who does the maintenance? Who cleans up? And we all know with the best of intentions, people say, I'll clean up, and then they're ready to pack it in and go home, and the grill is still hot. I'll come back and do it when it cools off, and
Their children's
net, it
home.
never gets done. And so, no, we're not in a position to look at something like that. And unfortunately, it's, individual residents cannot, the law does not allow for you to put even a small grill out on your patio or out on your balcony. Same thing here at the Heights, it just, the law doesn't allow for it. And so while we recognize that's an issue, it is nonetheless part of being in a multifamily environment. We've looked at it, we'll continue to look at it if there's something that changes.
Other thing, I know you said that you're
Off the
not
record,
sure-
you didn't hear this from me, this isn't, I know we're going out into the public, but trust me when I tell you, I have friends in the fire marshal's office. So if there's any way we can do anything, I'll know about it right away. And there's just nothing, it's out of our hands, there's nothing we can do.
I know you said that the community room's they're not sure when they're gonna reopen it, but I wanted to mention the issue that the TV doesn't work because there's no Wi-Fi there to be able to connect the Roku to. So when they reopen it, it'd be nice if it could be that
Yeah,
the
I
TV
mean,
works.
I'm sure to Kathy that we're gonna be working either to have either cable or internet service and do the robot way and we can do watch Netflix or anything like that, so we are looking into that.
Okay.
Is there, and now that we've opened up the conversation, what about summer programs at the Royal, like, are there community music programs that could be at the Royal? We've got more than enough land in the back that you could seat 50 or 60 people plus the patios.
We will certainly consider it, we'll look into it. We have one of our own residents who is a member of a band
Right, that's what I was
that plays
thinking
around
of.
town,
Yeah,
and we might look at scheduling that. We're waiting till we get the sound project finished so we can empty out the community room, get all the, parts and material that we're storing in there out of the way. And then as we head into the summer, we'll be able to look and see if anybody has any suggestions of something they'd like to see us bring in, let us know, and we'll see what we can do. It would be, and it isn't just the Royal. We have space here, and we could look at whether or not there's something we could do. We've tried a couple of events. Our staff has organized a couple of events, and while not a lot of people participated, those who participated enjoyed it. It was successful. We'd like to see if there's a way to get more people involved.
yeah, you've got the area for
We got
summer
the-
music
we-
program at the
The
venue.
only problem we have at the Royal is
You know.
parking becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
But if we do something for the residents, we have the community room, we have the patio, there's area there for us to do something. And we'll certainly look into it.
The other thing I wondered about is like, they do some really nice stuff over at the senior center. Is there any way that we could work with them to sort of make a better bridge between the senior center and Royal, since it's
Right, because
senior housing?
you've got the empty room and you could get more people playing bridge or
Yeah,
mahjong or whatever.
I would suggest not that we can, but that we should
Yeah,
partner up with the senior center to see what,
I can contact them and see what we can work with.
yeah, see if there's something we can work out where they can use our space, when that space becomes fully available.
Yeah.
yeah, Liz and I both have the time to certainly help coordinate
Yep.
something or to work as co-chairs.
I'll make sure I put both of you guys on my list then.
I
know she is.
They're good at volunteering.
We should never ask.
I got both of you guys on my list.
I wanted to mention what a great job you did with the Christmas decorations, and it was really nice.
Thank you, appreciate it. You guys help.
Even if your wreaths did get stolen.
It took a while to
Yeah.
get Christmas going at the Royal, but once it got going, it went
We
really
did.
well.
Yeah.
There were actually my little helpers over here.
Anything else? Anybody got anything else before we move into executive session? In that case, I will call for a motion to move into executive session. I don't know that we have a lot to talk about in executive session. What I do know is there is nothing that we will be discussing in executive session that will cause us to come back to public session to vote on something. We have no No issues that need to be voted on.
Okay, motion made.
All in favor?
Have a good night.
We're in executive session. Ladies, thank you for coming.